DICE just dropped the mic with an incredible looking roadmap for Battlefield 6. They confirmed 7 new maps are coming this year, including a Wake Island remake, ranked mode for RedSack, a persistent server browser, spectator mode, platoons, proximity chat, and a ton more. If you were on the fence or disappointed by the post-launch content for Battlefield 6, it looks like the devs have been paying attention and are planning to deliver just about everything we've been asking for. Let's get into the details. So the roadmap has a ton of content, but let's start off with Season 3, which drops next month. It includes a heavily updated new Golmud Railway map, which is a remake from Battlefield 4, and a map heavily inspired by Grand Bazaar from Battlefield 3. Golmud has been reimagined as Railway to Golmud, and it features several new points of interest with an overhauled layout. Naturally, the moving train capture point is returning, which looks awesome and was always one of the cooler parts of the map, and DICE reiterated the actual size of this map, saying that it's actually 4 times bigger than the current biggest map in the game. So anyone complaining about map sizes from BF6, this one should certainly scratch that itch. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I wasn't all that excited about a Golmud Railway rework just because it's never been one of my top maps. That said, looking at the remake here, it looks like they've made extensive changes, which if it was a favorite map, I might be a little skeptical of how much they're changing, but because it was never a map that I like that much, I'm actually kind of excited to see how many more new buildings and cover and all that stuff is being added here. Now, as for the spiritual successor to Grand Bazaar, that's being remade as Cairo Bazaar, and it features a denser urban layout with more destruction. Unfortunately, the trailer and roadmap are a bit lighter on the details for this one, but it does look pretty impressive from a visual standpoint, and Grand Bazaar was always one of my favorites from BF3, so I imagine it'll play pretty well in BF6. And alongside Season 3, RedSack is getting a ranked mode and leaderboards, plus solo matchmaking. Now, to be honest, I haven't really played RedSack in quite a while. It's not that it's not a good mode. I actually think it's a pretty competent battle royale. It's just that it's coming at very much the tail end of the popularity of royales, so it was hard for me to get interested in yet another royale. But that said, having a solos mode is a big appeal here, especially when so many of the seasonal challenges are tied into RedSack, and not being able to do that unless you have a big group of people just so you can run through season challenges was kind of annoying. So I imagine I'll probably be testing out the solos mode in this quite a bit. Who knows? Maybe it'll actually be really fun. And I'd be curious to hear if you guys are interested in playing the ranked mode, if you think that'll add some more longevity to it. Now, when it comes to Season 4, that's going to begin sometime in July, and it will finally bring naval warfare to Battlefield 6 with a new map called Suru Reef and a remake of Battlefield's most iconic map, Wake Island. Both maps look absolutely massive and are going to feature dynamic ocean waves to mix up the naval combat, similar to Paracel Storm from Battlefield 4, which is of course a fan favorite, specifically because of all the cool waves and naval warfare. The concept art for Suru Reef also has what looks like the main building from the Hainan Resort map, and it's surrounded by what looks like a similar layout to that map. So maybe it's sort of a spiritual remake to Hainan Resort. It's hard to say. The roadmap also says that the season will offer custom lobbies and a spectator mode as well. So I'd expect that we'll finally get the ability to host more unique game modes outside of Portal's server browser. And once again, the season will also include new weapons and modes. And just to confirm some of the additional naval features that were shown in the trailer, well, we see rib boats, attack boats, and even aircraft carriers spotted throughout. It looks like the carrier might just be a spawn HQ for the teams, but they do feature it pretty heavily, which might mean there's an objective area inside of it or something. DICE in the past has certainly made the interior of carriers and large ships part of the combat experience. Now, of course, I'm a huge fan of the map Wake Island, and I really do like the tradition of DICE remaking this map in so many of the Battlefield titles. Personally, I'd love to see it in every single Battlefield game if they can find an excuse to do it. The remake looks really cool. I'm always excited to see a new iteration of this map. It certainly holds a lot of nostalgic value for me. Now, Season 5 details were not announced aside from this teaser image. Speculation suggests that this could be hinting at a remake of Siege of Shanghai or Dawnbreaker from Battlefield 4. Siege of Shanghai would certainly be a heavy hitter, and I mean, it was basically the main marketing feature of Battlefield 4 for a long time, so dropping that in BF6 would be a smart play in my opinion. The other small but important detail was that Season 5 is bringing 3 new maps instead of the standard 2, which in my opinion is a pretty big upgrade. If that could become the new standard moving forward, I think that would be huge for the general content rollout. Now, alongside all of these new maps and features, DICE are also going back to the game's existing maps with a rework of New Sobek City and Blackwell Fields. These are both getting tweaked based on player feedback, and I assume DICE heat maps of how players move around them and what works and what doesn't. Many players consider these maps to be some of the worst in the game, and I won't argue that they need a lot of work. New Sobek City is my least favorite map by far, and Blackwell Fields, while I enjoy sniping on it, I can see how anyone who doesn't like to snipe would be very frustrated by the gameplay here. So I'm actually a big fan of DICE going back and reworking maps, especially when there's some bigger pain points on the map rotation. If everybody gives a general sigh when, say, Blackwell Fields or New Sobek City shows up in the rotation, or servers start to drop out, then yeah, why sit with that when you don't have to? Go back, update it, make the whole rotation good. It'll be better for the overall health of the game and keeping players in and having fun. Now, as for a lot of the side features coming into the game, it's cool. The persistent servers and stuff, I'm really curious to see how that integrates with the existing UI. I know players don't really like the current matchmaking UI, and getting persistent servers and custom map rotations and that kind of stuff into the front end screen could be really cool. It could help develop those communities that I think people are missing. And speaking of communities, the platoon system, which will also be coming back, has been a fantastic system for establishing communities of friends who want to jump on and play with each other in just a more organized way that shows what your platoon's up to, where they're playing, and just gives you a nice group of players to jump in with whenever you want to. Now, when it comes to proximity chat, I know a lot of people have been asking for this feature. I do like that DICE is adding it to the game. I'm a little skeptical of how much it's going to get used. It's very interesting where game culture seems to sort of dictate how much proxy chat is used and how much you can actually talk to people and work with them and stuff. But I do love the idea of being able to use it to coordinate with people around me. And, you know, it might vary from server to server how much people are using it, but having that option there is going to be fantastic for when you just need to get the attention of a random player. I mean, you'll actually be able to yell that you need ammo to the support class for a change, which will be very exciting. Overall, I see this roadmap as a huge win for both DICE and players. It shows that DICE has been listening to people. It shows that they're going to be adding a lot of the features that we've been asking for into the game. It's entirely possible that not all of those features will live up to our expectations, but we'll just have to wait and see. As far as the amount of content coming out, I think you could still fault DICE on still the 2 maps per season up until Season 5, when they will transition to 3 maps per season. Hopefully after that as well. But yeah, it still does mean that the content is going to trickle out slower than I think most people would want. I've also seen a lot of people commenting on the fact that we're getting a lot of remake maps. Personally, I'm not bothered by this at all. I think if you have good old school map designs that would work in the new game, then why not just reuse them? You can take it as an opportunity to update them and improve upon the old designs. And so it sort of gives us a more robust map profile to work off of, rather than trying to come up with something completely new and maybe failing. It's not to say that I don't like new maps, but I'm certainly not disappointed to see the amount of remakes or quote-unquote spiritual successors in the pipeline. Overall, I'm quite excited by this news. Sure, it could have been better. Sure, DICE could have really dropped the mic and offered us 3 maps going forward from a much sooner rate, but in general, I am still pretty excited about what is planned for the future. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to see my take on the latest Augur game mode that was just added to Battlefield 6, check out this video here. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.